Hey, it's your boy Easy, and on today's episode of Easy Opens, we'll be taking a look at the 1990 movie Leonardo action figure from Neca. So let's go ahead and get this figure free from its really awesome plastic prison and take a look and see what we think about Leonardo. Alright, so here's Leonardo fresh out the box with all of his accessories, and I am super excited to finally be talking about these figures and having them in hand, because I didn't think there was a real good chance we'd be ever getting them in this scale. I thought the closest thing we'd get would be the ones that Neca put out last year, and I think they were like 16 inches tall, and those were fantastic, and I have those, but now we've got some in my favorite scale of figure, which is 1/12, so I'm really excited to be talking about these figures now. So let's go ahead and do it. So if you're not familiar with the Turtles for some reason or this movie, here's a quick rundown. So basically, they were created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. They started off as comic book characters. They got turned into cartoon characters, then got turned into toys, and then finally made their way to the big screen and via this movie, the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, live action movie, I should say. And so, so we're starting off with Leonardo. He is the leader of the team, and that feels really weird to say that because it feels like that's kind of universally known. However, contrary to that idea, the ending song in this movie claims that Raphael is the leader of the team, and the new 2018 animated series, The Rise of the TMNT, has Raphael as the leader of the team as well. So it's not redundant to just name Leonardo as the leader now, given that there's two instances where where Raphael is claimed to be the leader. So there you go. But he is the leader in this incarnation of the Turtles. He's the teacher's pet, the most ninja-like, and he uses katanas as his weapon of choice, or swords in general. And yeah, so speaking of those things, let's go ahead and talk about the accessories that he comes with. So Leonardo comes with 2 swords, two open hands, 2 gripping hands, 1 slice of pizza, and 1 windblown variant of his blue bandana. So this figure stands at about approximately 6.5 inches tall, according to the back of the box. And let's go ahead and see how he measures up to some other figures you might have in your collection. So I took a ton of comparison shots of these figures with other figures that I have in my collection, because I feel like a lot of people are going to want to know how they scale with other lines and other versions of the Turtles. So yeah, please bear with me, but this is going to take a minute, but here we go. So starting off, here's the whole 1990 movie Turtle team. Here they are with the 1987 animated series Shredder figure from Neca. Here they are with the comic version of Shredder from Neca. Here they are with the Mary Jane figure from Marvel Legends. Here they are with the 1987 animated series Foot Soldier figure from Neca. Here they are with the comic version of the Foot Soldier from Neca. Now here he is with the toon version of Leonardo from SH Figuarts and the toon version of Leonardo from Neca. Here he is next to the SH Figuarts Senkocho Seiho Kamen Rider Kabuto figure and the Storm Collectibles Sub-Zero figure. Here he is next to the Marvel Legends Tiger Stripe Wolverine figure and the Masters of the Universe Classics Merman figure. Here he is next to the Marvel Select Rhino figure and Bandai Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Legacy White Ranger figure. Here he is next to the DC Universe Classics Joker and the DC Collectibles Batman figures. Here he is with the black and white comic Leo from Neca and the colored bandana knockoff comic version of Leonardo from Neca. Here he is next to the Bebop and Rocksteady from Playmates Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Classics line. And here's the whole turtle team with the Mousers from Playmate's 2012 series of figures. All right, let's talk about the sculpt and paint on Leonardo. So Neca, excellent job. These are professionals, and they're also fans. So that's the beauty of having a company that has these licenses, because then you know that they're going to put their heart and soul into these figures, and that's what Neca has done here. So let's start with the paint. This is flawless. Like, I don't have any problems on this figure paint-wise whatsoever. They did an excellent job accentuating the sculpt and hitting like all the highlights and all the details with the paint and the shading and just every kind of paint technique that they use on these, especially on the back, which usually, you know, sometimes people just don't think anything about the back of a figure because chances are you're not going to be looking at it. But no, Neca's got so much detail in the paint, in the sculpt of the shell and the back of the scabbards or sheaths for the swords and everything. And one of my favorite parts, though, is the elbow pads and the knee pads. They just look so worn and so just like old and ragged pretty much, but that's what you'd expect from someone who's a teenager that's been training using these in the sewers of New York their whole life. So great job there paint wise. The shading on the inner shell, I guess I should say, is how you say it, looks fantastic. Everything about this figure is fantastic paint-wise. Sculpt-wise, it looks just like the movie. I think Leonardo is my favorite in regards to how it looks just like the movie. They nailed the facial expression. Every once in a while, I'll catch a glimpse of the figure. My brain will immediately associate a scene from the movie, and that's all I've ever wanted out of Ninja Turtles figures for the movie, and Neca did an amazing job with this sculpt-wise. Everything about this, it looks just like the movie. And again, the detail on the arms, like the veins and everything, it's just so detailed and looks fantastic. Now, the swords look really good as well. And unfortunately, though, on one of mine, it got a little bit too much, I guess it's black wash or something on it. I might try to see if I can get some of that off, but it's not a deal breaker by any means, but it is kind of a small gripe because, you know, these are mass produced, but still, you know, it still looks fantastic. And I can't really argue, because who am I to say that swords don't look like this if they've been in a sewer for like 15 years, you know? So as far as sculpt and paint goes, this figure is fantastic. No problems whatsoever. Neca killed it. And this thing looks like it just walked off the screen and onto my shelf. And that's all I ever wanted out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures based on the movie. All right, let's take a look at the articulation you're going to get out of this Leonardo action figure. So let's start with the head. The head is on a ball joint, so you're going to get 360 rotation at the neck. He can look up this far. He can look down this far, and he's got really good side-to-side range as well. His bandana is pegged in, so you can flip it around and take it out if you need to. Then his arms will go up this far, and they're on a 360 rotation joint at the shoulder, and he's also got 360 rotation on both sides of his elbow, which is really neat. The elbow is also double jointed, if I'm not mistaken, that's hidden by the elbow pad. And his hands, all the hands are removable on these figures, so they just peg in, so you've got 360 rotation there due to that. And this particular hand can move front to back as well. His legs can go out this far. Let's see if I can get a better shot of that. His legs can go out that far. They can go forward this far, and they can't really go back too far because the shell inhibits that. However, the knees are double jointed. He does have a swivel at the upper knee, and his upper thigh has a slight swivel as well. And he has ankle rockers, I believe that's what these are called, so he's got full range of motion in the ankles, so it can go all over the place. Moving up to the torso, it is hindered by the shell, the front and back shell, but there is some articulation there, so you can get some front to back, side to side, literal wiggle room in the upper torso area, and to help you get some poses that you might be trying to do. And yeah, not. So that's all the articulation that you're going to get out of this Leonardo action figure. All right, so final thoughts on the 1990 live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie Leonardo action figure from Neca. So Leonardo was never my favorite turtle growing up. He was the leader because he led, and that meant that he had to be the responsible one, basically the killjoy, and nobody likes that, especially as a kid. And so I never really fully appreciated Leonardo until I got to be much older. And I started to appreciate him as well as other characters that kind of were in that same leadership role, such as Duke or Cyclops. And so growing up, you start to change and you rethink things, and other Turtles media has had me questioning my own allegiance to my favorite turtle, which was Michelangelo. And now here we are with the NECA 1990 movie figures, and Leonardo is making his way to be possibly my favorite of the four turtles. So this figure is fantastic. He looks just like he walked off the screen and onto my shelf, and that is insane because I never thought we'd have this version of the turtles in this scale. It just seemed like an impossibility, like some pipe dream. Just, it's cool to talk about it, but just don't get your hopes up. But yet here we are, and I'm so excited because NECA killed it with these figures like they do with most everything they do. And I'm so excited to have these in hand. And there's times, like I've mentioned earlier, where I'll look at him and the scenes from the movie just pop up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they nailed it with that. He just looks so cool. And everything about this figure is insanely good. The articulation, the paint, the sculpt, the accessories are cool. I love the spots on his legs. Everything about this figure reminds me of exactly how I felt when I got the Playmates movie figures. Now, I know that they didn't look just like the movie, but there was something even then in the plastic, the way that they used it, that made it feel like alive. And the NECA has done a great job replicating that. Not necessarily like replicating it, but kind of simulating that in their own way to get the same feeling that Playmates did back in the day, except where Playmates couldn't really make the figures look exactly how they do screen accurate, I guess you could say. NECA has that ability and do it effortlessly, it seems. It's just ridiculous. I can't talk highly enough about these figures. If you are a Turtles fan in any form or fashion, you need to own this set of figures because this is probably the best version of Leonardo we've ever got. The plastic that they used makes him look a little wet, like that. Not necessarily but there's some sort of texture to the plastic that they use that takes this figure to the next level of making it look more alive, and that's crazy. And the fact that I had no paint problems on this figure whatsoever, well, minor one with the sword, but I can overlook that. However, the figure itself, no problems. Everything on this figure is great. Leonardo is out of this world, ridiculously good. And so if you're gonna buy any set of Turtles figures this year, I would highly recommend you put this set of figures at the top of your list. And if you're gonna buy one, I'd say buy Leonardo. He's awesome. You can't go wrong with having the leader, and he's fantastic. So there you go. All right, well, that's going to do it for me today. Thanks so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, please hit that like button. And if you're new here, please subscribe as well. And if you want to hear more of me for some strange reason, you can do that by checking out the links below to my other podcast, where we have Turtle Soup, where a friend and I talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles every other week. And then we have Daydream Nation, where my wife and some friends of ours talk about a different record every other week usually, but it's been a while, but we're going to get back on it here in a minute. So yeah, there's that as well. So all right, so thanks so much for watching, and be sure to check back here often for more opening goodness right here on Easy Opens. Else time.